Hey y'all, it's Mark of the Ville here, and we are talking about D&D, one of my favorite pastimes, and reading off of the RPG horror stories. Trust me, if you want a treasure trove, a cacophony, a symphony of bullshit, please visit that motherfucking Reddit because, I went on there after hearing a few videos from Crit Crab, look him up, great man, and my eye sockets, my retinas, they burn. It's Father's Day, and my wife right now is out with our baby, I believe getting me a little present, but I decided on this most holy of days to give y'all a present. So I'm going to start doing these videos for y'all, as I myself have played D&D for a few good years now, and I'm thinking of getting into that, delving into that, but that could be for later videos, later ideas. Let's get into this shit. Typical that guy nearly caused a TPK story. Let us begin. Might seem like an almost textbook example and not as horrific as some of these other stories, but it really peeved me, and when I spoke about it to other friends, they also got secondhand frustration. To set the background, I was joining a 5e campaign and was probably the most experienced player in that group, since most of the other players were new. I was also a previous DM and had DM'd for this campaign before, which was Strahd. The DM was also new to DMing, and we've played together before in which I was the DM. Side note, me talking, Curse of Strahd, great module, made a character called Chester Chaz Jester, and ran into some bullshit in-game, not because of bad players, but because it's the hardest fucking module ever played. Got possessed, pissed on a dead kid's skull. There was a little dollhouse, y'all know. Anyways, back into it. Group aside, there aren't a lot of players to note apart from that guy. That guy was a hazardous mix of a lot of traits in a problem player, and was also a player that I DM'd for. He was by far one of my most difficult players, and he often made me question if I was a good DM. He had main character syndrome, sulked whenever he wasn't in the spotlight, loved playing a rules lawyer, and would answer literally every question that everyone asked, even if they weren't aimed for him, and even if he couldn't appropriately answer them. He was also partially responsible for the dissolution of one of my first campaigns ever that I spent a year homebrewing, though that's another story. As an example of his behavior, halfway through the session, he bragged about knowing the HP and stats of some wolves that attacked us, as a reaction to some players being surprised by the large HP block that they possessed. Like, cool, dude. I didn't really mind that guy that much, because on the whole he was okay. He told us he loved playing D&D and genuinely enjoyed the campaigns. And he told me his character was very team-based this time. Also, I didn't personally mind the spotlight hogging because I intended to take a backseat to this campaign since I knew a lot of what was going to happen anyway and wanted to leave the decisions up to the new players. Side note, me talking, I gotta give the man props for this. I played Curse of Strahd. I gave it a run a few times with my group. And it has some very interesting twists and turns within the module, although we never really delved too far in. But I got to see some pretty interesting things that the module offers, and I just want to say, good guy, good guy for him, letting the new players try and steer the twists and turns that they're gonna see. Anyway, the problem came up when we came across the windmill. If you played Strahd, you know that this was the one that housed the hags. At this point, we were severely underleveled, and I knew we could not take on the hags. But that guy insisted on going into the windmill despite the warning from the DM, through the voice of the raven, and upon meeting them helped himself to their poisoned pastries. He passed the constitution check, though, and so was oblivious to the intent of the hags and proceeded to talk to them despite all the warning signs. He said it was because he was playing a low intelligence character, and so that's what my character would do. To go ahead and tell you all right now, I haven't had too many problem players. I've had one or two in my group before. Pretty consistent group out of high school, bunch of friends, bunch of buddies. I'm lucky compared to this shit right here. But through roleplay, personally myself, I love playing low intelligence characters. Hell, I like playing high intelligence characters that put forth the aura and the guise of low intelligence. Now, even though I've done that, there is such a thing as fucking self-preservation, and, you know, if you look at something that's evil as hell, just because you're stupid doesn't mean you can't just not look at it and go, compared to me, that looks evil as hell. So, this guy, not really seeing why he should be talking to evil ass hags in a fucking creepy windmill like it's no biggie. Continuing, well, the hags did what they did and tried to get us to sell pastries for them. And none of the other players took the bait. It's pretty worthwhile to note that throughout this whole interaction, everyone was uneasy and just wanted to leave. However, that guy insisted on staying. When given the contract, he rebuffed them and started to directly antagonize them, questioning their baking habits and insulting their cooking. That was about enough for the DM to launch combat, I guess. However, the DM started off combat by pointing at me, who was silent the whole time, and casting a lightning bolt at me, instantly dropping me to 0. The rest of the fight boiled down to a drag between the DM almost OKOing everyone and people desperately trying to keep themselves up. It was a long fight that dragged on for about an hour, and it did not look good. That guy eventually took it upon himself to run away along with another player, leaving me and my teammate behind. When my teammate had a moment, they managed to heal me, in which I metagamed a bit and just played along with the hags, reasoning with them to allow them to let us leave peacefully. So at the end, we all managed to limp out with only that guy being relatively unscathed. And so that's the story of how the party almost got TPK'd. Almost entirely thanks to that guy. Uneventful, I know, and almost like a condensed and boiled down version of a lot of TPK horror stories here. I don't blame our DM for this because they were new and were never faced with a TPK situation before. However, according to that guy, it was on the DM for buffing the hags. That guy even claimed that they knew the stats of the hags and they shouldn't have had the saving throws, DCs, and damage outputs they dished because he looked up their stats in the middle of the fight. Now, to talk about personal experience, I played a bard called Chester Chaz Jester. And when we ended up coming across the windmill, we walked in and, we were curious. We found the hags. And of course, all hell broke loose. Evil ass hags, band of adventurers. Some vicious mockeries were cast, I ain't gonna lie. But in my experience, when we were fighting through the windmill, we were silencing and blinding constantly and got pretty lucky with our rolls. So a lot of our fight boiled down to there was a hag and now they're silenced and can't cast spells and they're blinded, so we all just took turns basically beating them with sticks like something out of Shaun of the Dead. That was our experience, though. For this party, I mean, those hags were a fucking slog for us, even with the debuffs we were putting on them. The man should have known, like, look, there's roleplay and then there's suicide. There's wanting to, okay, let's throw my character into a situation to kill him off. It could be badass, could be whatever. I want to play a new character, that's fine. If you don't want to just let him live off in the world somewhere. But man, don't go and try and get a TPK. Don't try and go and get your buds killed. They could be attached to the characters. You know, you're playing for yourself, you're role playing for yourself, but you're playing with a party. There's expectations there, both in character and out. You're a party. You're supposed to function in some way together. Now, that was a little story for y'all. I plan on doing these more. For all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. And I suppose I'm going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs and wait for my daughter and wife to get back and hope and pray to the great elder gods above that she brought me a video game or like maybe some whiskey. But besides that, I want to thank you all for watching. Maybe like, maybe subscribe. I think there's a bell. Oh well, y'all can figure it out. Y'all have a fantastic Father's Day, a fantastic weekend, and a fantastic start to the next week. Peace, y'all.